Next up, I have the pleasure of introducing Diane Hussey. She has been involved in politics since the late 80s. Most of her time was spent in California and Montana. She moved to Maryland about 7 years ago and has stayed pretty quiet until about 6-8 months ago, I'd say.
Yeah, about that.
And now she's really getting ramped up. And she's leading the charge with MPLA, which is Maryland Pro-Life Alliance. And she's going to be talking today about her efforts here in the state of Maryland. So, Diane?
Well, let's start out with what is the Maryland Pro-Life Alliance. We are a statewide grassroots organization committed to protecting the sanctity of life in Maryland through political activity and issue advocacy. We take a no-compromise principled position on one of the most important issues of our time. This is a challenging fight because Maryland is not a pro-life state. According to the 2013 Life List issued by Americans United for Life, Maryland ranks 43rd out of the 50 states, one of the least protective states for unborn children. This state maintains a Freedom of Choice Act that mandates a right to abortion even if Roe v. Wade is overturned. Maryland taxpayers are required by statute to pay for medically necessary abortions for women eligible for public assistance, which includes abortions based on mental health, emotional, psychological, or familial health of the pregnant woman. Because Maryland Pro-Life Alliance connects the legislative session to the election cycle, we will hold our politicians accountable for their actions. If they do not support pro-life issues in the legislature, we will be sure their constituents know about it during the next election cycle. This may sound somewhat familiar to those of you who were here last month when Michelle Nicholson talked about the real nature of politics. MPLA began sending out our emails June 20th of last year. We began putting pressure on Maryland legislators to sponsor and vote for the pro-life pain-capable bill, which never made it out of committee in either body during the 2013 legislative session. Let me explain briefly what the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act is. It's based upon universally accepted medical evidence that at 20 weeks gestation, unborn babies are capable of feeling pain. This bill bans abortions at 20 weeks. By July 10th, Maryland Pro-Life Alliance gave out the names of the Maryland senators who held the pain-capable bill in committee, and we asked pro-life supporters in Maryland to contact these legislators and remind them to vote the bill out of the committee in the 2014 legislative session. Named on the list was State Senator E.J. Pipkin. On July 29th, MPLA asked, "What is E.J. Pipkin thinking?" We revealed that on 5 separate occasions in 2007, 2008, 2010, 2011, and 2012, Senator Pipkin voted against state budget amendments that would have cut or eliminated taxpayer funding for abortion. This Republican senator should have been a strong pro-life supporter, but his record revealed otherwise. And we called him on it. By August 5th, MPLA got word that Senator Pipkin was stepping down. Not only did he step down as a state senator in Maryland, he actually moved to Texas. In the midst of the Pipkin situation, Maryland Pro-Life Alliance began robocalls into the district of delegates Donna Stifler and Wayne Norman. I simply informed their constituents that neither of them had sponsored or co-sponsored or made public statements in support of the pain-capable bill in the 2013 legislative session. We asked their constituents to contact these legislators and ask them why these pro-life Republicans had not supported this bill. By July 31st, Delegate Norman and Republican House leadership, including House Minority Leader Nick Kipke and Minority Whip Kathy Shalega, threatened MPLA with a lawsuit for illegal and misleading robocalls. One comment on Facebook said that Wayne Norman was trying to suppress political debate by threatening prosecution. The next email MPLA sent out stated that these politicians were upset because we were holding them accountable to conservative pro-life principles. We told the truth, and they didn't like it. In August 2013, MPLA sent a survey to each of the Maryland legislators asking them how they would vote, or if they would sponsor pro-life measures in the next legislative session. Interestingly, we received quick responses and a few registered mail responses from all the legislators we had held accountable in our prior emails. In October, we became aware that an abortion supporter who had been a Maryland delegate from 1990 to 94, Robert A. Thornton, was under consideration by the central committees of 4 counties to replace Steve Hershey, who'd been nominated to replace Pipkin in District 36. We discovered that Thornton had voted in favor of SB 162 in 1991, which went well beyond Roe v. Wade and put Maryland on the map as one of the strongest pro-abortion states in the country. I sent a letter to the central committees voicing our concern and requesting that they question Thornton about his current pro-life stance, because we do not need another anti-life delegate in the Maryland legislature. Thornton was not selected. Stephen Arentz was nominated for District 36 in November. When I began the search for pro-life legislation for Maryland, I was privileged to work with attorneys from Americans United for Life. They provided model legislation and assisted me with drafting bills, which could move Maryland closer to being a pro-life state. The Women's Late-Term Pregnancy Health Act addresses the serious physical and psychological complications for women who have late-term abortions. It also prohibits abortions at or after 20 weeks gestation because of the pain felt by the unborn child. The second bill is an act to prohibit the use of public funds for abortion, which was crafted especially for Maryland as a place to start to limit taxpayer funding for abortion. More recently, MPLA made a decision to use the draft legislation from National Pro-Life Alliance known as the Ultrasound Access Act. This bill is very compelling because it is based upon the informed consent of the woman upon whom the abortion would be performed. The physician would be required to provide the pregnant woman with an opportunity to view the images of her baby on an ultrasound screen. When pregnant women have been able to see their unborn babies on ultrasound screens, they reject abortion from 78 to 90% of the time. So far, no Maryland legislator has stepped up to the plate to sponsor MPLA's proposed bills, but we're still in touch with several legislators, and they've expressed interest in working with us on our bill to prohibit public funding for abortion and on the ultrasound bill. State Senator Edward Riley has filed the pain-capable bill, SB 34, and Delegate Neil Parrott, his office called the other day, he has filed the same bill in the House. We will watch to see who co-sponsors these bills. The introduction and sponsorship of bills is still in a state of flux. Throughout 2014, MPLA will continue to hold Maryland legislators accountable for their pro-life votes and their actions by keeping their constituents informed in the upcoming election cycle. We'll see who steps up to the plate this year when election is coming up. Just last week, we sent out an email with a link to a robocall, which holds State Senator Mac Middleton accountable for keeping the 2013 pain-capable bill in the Finance Committee he chairs. This anti-life Democrat needs to listen to the pro-life supporters in Maryland and allow this bill to be voted on in 2014. So at this time, and I don't know, we may want to turn some of the lights down, but we'll see how this goes. I want you to watch a 4D ultrasound presentation from YouTube. Hopefully our sound will be okay.
You're about to be amazed. Thanks to the latest imaging technology, we'll be peeking inside the womb to see how babies grow during the last 7 months before birth, and how they keep themselves busy in the meantime. Now let's see how far our new little person has come in just 8 weeks. The face already has features distinguishable from other babies at the same age, and every day new features appear that will make this baby's face unique from any other face ever in the history of faces. Another feature unique to each person, fingerprints, are being engraved at the same time. At 9 weeks, our baby learns 4 of the most important things we do our entire lives: sleep, wake up, stretch, and suck our thumbs. Well, maybe 3 things we do our entire lives. In the 10th week, some babies get a kick from using the womb like a trampoline. While others the same age just shrug their shoulders. Our eyes and nose are 2 of the itchiest parts of our bodies. Fortunately, they take shape about the same time baby learns how to scratch and has fingers to do it with. And baby's mouth can even open to practice saying, "ah," once the itch is gone. At 12 weeks, mom's coughing wakes the baby. Also, without being too specific, a close look will reveal that this baby's parents can stop thinking about girls' names. Also at 12 weeks, baby starts to smile. It's probably just coincidence that this is the same time that baby learns to kick, bend, twist, turn the head, make a fist, and punch. At 13 weeks, sex organs are more apparent, so is bone structure, and vocal cords are close to fully formed, ready to shout out with the first breath of fresh air. Around 4 months, baby can grasp with hands, swim, turn somersaults, and frown. That'll come in handy. The 5th month is when mom and her baby starts communicating. For example, a big noise from outside the womb might be answered by a big kick on the inside. Baby's way of telling mom, "That scared me." There's a growing sense that the mouth is going to be a big deal. Thumb sucking and finger licking becomes serious business. And baby even seems to know that being able to open the mouth will be a useful skill one day. Around week 25, fine hair grows on the head and eyebrows. An average weight is 1.5 pounds. Closer to a total of 3 pounds if you happen to be twins. Which makes it all a bit cozier. This probably won't be the first time this boy and girl butt heads or lend each other a helping hand in a tight spot. By the way, even though it looks like the twins are sharing the same room, each is in a separate sack. They won't actually touch each other until they're born. In the last 12 weeks, basic training for birth goes into high gear. 2 baby skills are being perfected: grabbing and pouting. Eye teeth are present. And so are eyes. Eyelids do a lot of blinking, even though there's nothing to see. At first, all this new stuff raises a lot of smiles. But after a while, anything can get boring. Even downright distasteful. With just 4 more weeks to go, baby weighs well over 2 pounds, and the once spacious room is getting a little cramped. Except for packing on a few more pounds in the last few weeks, baby's appearance and behavior are pretty much identical to what they'll be at birth. The only major stage of development left is for baby to make the first big decision in its life. When should I get out of here? See if there's anything new and amazing on the other side. Never suspecting that this first big decision will produce the one thing that never stops being new and amazing. The miracle miracle of seeing a new life created by God.
When I became aware of the need for leadership in the Maryland Pro-Life Alliance, I prayed for God's guidance. The words of a Bible verse that came to mind during my decision-making process were from the book of Esther. For such a time as this. Just as Esther exercised her responsibility to save the lives of her people, so too am I responsible to step forward for such a time as this to save the lives of unborn children in Maryland. We want unborn children to be as safe in their mother's womb as our babies held in their mother's arms. Science has unquestionably confirmed that unborn children are living human beings in the womb, and we believe that life begins at the moment of conception. These children have the fundamental human right to life. They should share equal protection alongside children who have been born and live in our world. Both of these babies are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Maryland Pro-Life Alliance upholds the principles expressed by the founders in the Declaration of Independence. Our unborn children deserve the opportunity to share these rights. We will fight for the right of unborn children to live. They are unable to speak for themselves, so we will speak for them. They are unable to defend themselves, so we will defend them. A recent email that we sent out, we were trying to reach a goal of $1,000 today, and we're within a few $100s of that goal. So I would appreciate if it's at all possible for any of you to help us reach our goal tonight, push us over the top. That would be really wonderful. You can also go online to our website, mdprolife.com, and contribute there. Thank you very much for your support.